Hello and welcome back to A Good Pour, Conversations About Good Work. I'm Kathryn Good, your host, and today we are joined by Jason Elkins, founder of 100 Cups Consulting. Cannot wait for you to hear, if you don't already know, as we just said, people whisper Jason's name all over town. So I'm excited for you all to get to know him. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Tell me about 100 Cups.
The origin story of how this business started. I had done some entrepreneurial things, but I wasn't really in that state of mind, working full-time for kind of the 800-pound gorilla web company in the area. And I walked in one day, and my boss's lips were quivering a little bit. And they had talked about single-threading all sales through me, but this meeting was, hey, Jason, today's your last day, letting you go, letting a designer go, or making some changes. They had partnered with a new platform. And that platform was supplying them with all their leads. So it, like, looking back, made perfect sense on their end. And I had like one idea at the time for marketing. After getting home and talking to my wife at 10 o'clock in the morning, she's wondering why I was there. But the idea that I had for marketing was just going to have 100 cups of coffee in 100 days with 100 business owners or business people. And I figured that would give me like kind of a quarter to figure out if I could make enough money on my own to sustain a business as opposed to going back to work for somebody. So that was the origin. And after about 15, 20 cups, some really cool things started happening.
Yeah.
First thing was the newspaper found this article that I wrote on this crappy website I built myself as I was trying to get this thing off the ground. And they liked the 100 Cups idea enough to call me and say, we want to feature you as the Entrepreneur of the Week, which is kind of funny. I didn't have any clients at the time. So I met with a friend at Panera, got some pictures taken, sent those in, had my call with the newspaper. And that was like a kind of an indication that maybe this thing had some legs. And shortly after that, I met with the president of the Fish at the time, and he said, Jason, I'll bring you in for sales, but you are not going to like it here. That was at the time they didn't have a digital section. And he said, I think that you'd be better off pursuing this dream. If you need some help, let me know.
Wow. So
that was kind of nice to have a little bit of a cushion if things didn't work out. But the idea was, after I started meeting folks, I realized that I did have some knowledge that I could help them with. And at the time, I was doing kind of like done-for-you marketing projects. So that was the origin. Shortly after that.
So at that point, you went from sales for marketing sales
Yes.
to actually doing marketing for other people.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. I had like done a blog, and I was posting things on my own Facebook page about the websites that we were launching, and people were like calling me saying, hey, I saw what you're doing. And I was like, oh, maybe Facebook could be a vehicle. This is 2010. Nobody really talked about Facebook as a business.
Marketing tool. Yep.
So I thought if I could teach that, and I knew something about blogging, and we were doing some newsletter marketing stuff, so I could kind of help in that capacity. And I got a few of those projects. And then there was a group that I was in, Tennessee Christian Chamber at the time. They were spread all over Middle Tennessee. And they were coming back for kind of an overall meeting. And I said, can I speak at that? Because as you know, one-to-many, like that's why you do a podcast. One-to-many is a wonderful concept for any kind of marketing. And when they said they wanted to have this meeting back, I called and said, can I speak there? And the president said, yes, if I can be your cup of the day, because I was posting pictures of people that I was meeting with and just promoting what they're doing. So my news feed was kind of like this positivity thing, and started getting some comments on that. People were happy to be edified in that way. And, you know, I think as adults, we don't get told enough that
You're doing good work.
doing good work.
Yeah.
So the joke I make about that is nobody tells LeBron, you know, that he's a good basketball player anymore. And we don't get that as adults very often. So just something like that kind of caught on. People were noticing and commenting, and so I really leaned into that, started getting some clients. So That's the origin of the concept of 100 cups.
And so at some point you decided to take this on the road, basically, and start a mastermind or a workshop, and you're teaching other people to do that. Was that, why did you decide to do it that way?
There were lots of people that had approached me and seemed interested in the concept. And one of the challenges that a marketing person has today is that there are people that can do similar work that we can, and they're everywhere. And, well, I don't mind the competition.
There's abundance in the kingdom.
There's abundance. Yes, there's abundance everywhere. Like, on paper, we're competitors, but I never view you that way. So thinking through, how can I have something that's mine, that's just like my IP, my idea, my concept, and using that as a platform, I got really excited about that. And someone approached me in 2018 and said, I want to do this. And I'm like, well, several people have done it, but nobody will do it. Nobody will have actually 100 cups. Would you finish this? I'll coach you for free, and then we'll see where it goes. And I'll have a white paper, kind of a concept that I can then replicate and teach others how to do this. She was a bank manager. She said yes to that.
Jennifer
Perry.
Yep.
And she just lit up the community.
She killed it. Yeah.
Killed it. Built her own Facebook group, and you had an article in the newspaper, or like
she took it.
Yeah, newspaper, where she was talking about people that she was meeting. Really did just a beautiful job, and it really elevated her career, and to the point that the bank that she was working at raised up, like all their numbers raised, so that they were like leading the charge for new accounts open and new corporate stuff and whatnot. And the idea then was like, okay, now I have somebody that's gone through, and maybe I can package this thing. And I love teaching. I love encouraging and coaching folks. So it really was kind of a nice fit. And it wasn't just something that I, just this idea that I had, like, this is the way that I got business. So it worked for me, and it worked for her. And then the pandemic hit, and I got a call from the Tennessee Small Business Development Center, and they asked me would you build this program for us? And, oh, by the way, we've got some federal money that will subsidize your classes if you would teach this to other business owners, because everybody's panicking about not being able to meet. So can you teach it kind of in a digital format? And that's when the class really took off after that.
And what a great time. I mean,
yeah,
it was a great time to better yourself in whatever way, but, something that where you could develop a virtual program basically, and you teach that way. It was fantastic timing. So, that I lost my job at the end of 2020. I was not planning to start this job, or this company. But it's into 2020. Yeah. So spring of 2021, this is a different story, but I decided, God told me basically we actually are going to start your own business kind of thing. And, I was sitting with Ray Carmen. Do you know this part? I think you know this. I was sitting with Ray Carmen at Cave, and he goes, you need to do 100 cups. And I said, oh, I don't want to commit to 100 cups. And he was like, you don't have to do 100. Just do, he said, I bet if you do 10, you will have, and you'll have clients. And I was like, well, do I need to pick people I want to have? Do I need to pick people to have coffee with that I want to become my clients? And that's weird, right? Like, that's the way I felt. Like, sure. All of this is new. I did not, in my heart, did not really want to start a business, but I was being obedient and starting a new business. And so I did. I started having coffee with people. At that time, I would have coffee, and then I would write. Again, people don't get to hear that they're doing good work. Yeah. And I love that part. I love sitting down and writing and reflecting. I didn't record the conversation or anything at that point. I just, we'd sit down and have coffee. And I don't think any of those actually became clients, but what it did for me, I had been out of the community for 3 years because I was working in corporate America in Nashville. And so, and before that, I had been pretty in the community, mainly more in Hendersonville to Gallatin. But we had moved to Gallatin and all the, in 2015. And so it just
new territory, right?
It just gave me a way to sit down with people and then, share that on social media and again, tell them what I admired about them or what have you. But it reminded me of how much I love community and I love relationships, right? Like it just was so good. And I don't know, I don't think I actually counted them because I knew I wouldn't do 100. I was not going to be Jennifer Perry and actually get 100 done. But I probably did 25 or so.
Sure.
And then the business just blew up and, I still had coffee with people, but I didn't have kind of the pressure of writing it and posting it. But when this podcast started, it is credit to that because I did call it a good pour when we were, would just write, when I was writing, have coffee and then writing. And then we sat down and I knew, as you go through seasons of business, there are things that you did at the very, very beginning that worked, right?
Right.
Or it maybe not at the very beginning, just at some point, and they work for a season and then you have to stop them for whatever reason. But I knew I wanted to get back to that because of that relationship. And so I was talking to DJ and we should do a podcast. And I was like, I don't know, like there's no actual coffee in these cups right now, right? Like
I was a little disappointed.
They're still there. Well, we'll figure that out at some point as I'm looking at DJ. But we, anyway, it's credit to you. Like this, we're sitting here really because of an idea that you had. And I love that it came after a loss for you. Like it was a job loss that led into, it's a great story of, goodness that can come from, death really. Like it was from the ashes kind of story of you created this.
I really appreciate you saying that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you saying that. And the relationship energy that comes from just meeting with people and trying to figure out who they are and what the next step is, it is kind of contagious, especially if you like people.
Right.
The numbers do seem ridiculous, like 100 of anything is crazy, but the truth is you're going to meet people anyway.
Yeah.
And you have to do that for business growth. I love the podcast idea, just kind of focusing on the community and the support that you're trying to advocate for. So that's really kind of a neat byproduct of that. Yeah. Also, we have some kindred people that we used to work for as well.
Yes.
So,
yes.
So that's an interesting part of this whole.
Yeah, we worked for the same people.
Yeah,
we sure did.
Yeah, yeah. What has been your? You made some changes in the business recently. Are you still growing the team, or you got?
Yes.
What's your?
So, this business has definitely. I get that question a lot. Like, what are your goals?
Yes.
And this has just been handed to me, and that sounds like it was handed to me. I've still had to work, but
for sure.
there hasn't been a whole lot of plans in place yet.
Yeah.
That really bothered me last year, honestly, Jason. And somebody said, "Well, you need to pray for the vision," and it really still hasn't come. And I've been okay with that. I pray every day for clients that God wants me to help, and that's really been it. I was in a lead generation class, and there's things. Don't get me wrong. There's things on the website that
sure,
that could bring leads in, but I haven't done any kind of cold calling or any kind of just there hasn't been a need for that yet. And so we're still really into strategy. That's we focus on strategy, and then everything else comes after that.
Yeah.
And then, as we have consultants that we bring on, if we need to do video work, DJ back here does it. And if we have lead social people and that sort of thing. I did hire just this week. I have a full-time virtual assistant that started. Jason and I are currently doing Charles Alexander's 4-day work week. I keep wanting to call it 4-hour work week, and it is not 4 hour. 4-day work week. And so it's been interesting timing that we kind of started this program, and I hired a virtual assistant about the same time because it has just been tremendous, the time savings that I think she's going to offer me. So anyway.
Can I just say that?
Yeah.
Like, it's taken me about 10 years, maybe a little longer than that, to actually find out where's the groove. What is going to be the thing that I do well? Clients can be consistent in that. I just want to encourage you that, like, it may take a while to figure out, but like you, if you keep putting it out there and doing good work, it's amazing what your reputation can do to bring more business to you. So I don't think that I don't think that's a negative. I think it's just, like you said, being obedient, kind of following the process, or doing the work for the process.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been an interesting journey, and I think you are the first person that's ever asked me a question so far on this podcast. Like, so I appreciate that, but it's also been, it's me usually asking all the questions. Sure. So thank you. I might have to have you back, and people keep saying, when is someone going to interview you? And I'm like, I don't know.
Let's do it. We'll schedule that. Yeah. I would love to.
So when I first started the business, I came to a class. You were teaching a class for the Gallatin Chamber. And it was on social media, and you looked at me and you said, "Why are you here? You could teach this class." And I said, "Wow, do you know that?" You probably don't remember, but it meant so much to me because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't plan to start this business, right? And it just you didn't mean to encourage me, but that was a point of encouragement for me. And then you and I we did, worked on some clients together early on, and you just kept saying, you'll be fine. And as you've already said, we're competitors on paper, but it's just, one, there's enough people that need marketing.
Yes, that's right.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's plenty of business. And two, I just, it's been good to collaborate with other marketers, along this journey. So, but you encourage people all the time. I think that's why 100 Cups works for you specifically. And it is, you just encourage people without even knowing it. And so you do good work all the time through that. So I don't even think you try. And it's little things that have meant a difference to me. We don't see each other all that often, but when we do, you're just always a source of encouragement.
Oh, thank you for saying that. That class was a long time ago.
Oh yeah. I mean, it had to have been at the very beginning of 2021 because I think it may have been like January 2021, and you're like, you could teach this, and I was like, well, it's really kind of you to say it. I needed that. When we're starting something new, we need that's scary, and we need the boost of encouragement. So, and you're definitely a source for that for me early on.
I really appreciate you saying that. One of the things that you had asked about was doing good work, or how do you focus on that? And I think a lot of that has to do with client selection and being around the right people.
Right.
And it's okay to say no, even when you don't have any money. It's okay to say no to those. And that was something that I experienced early on, like taking jobs just because I needed the cash or whatnot. And they almost never worked out. Where the clients that we connect with and where we can be our best is when we're aligned with whatever their kind of core values maybe and direction. So
yeah, good work is doing work with the right kind of people.
That's right.
For sure. I dropped a few clients recently. The end of last year. And not dropped is the wrong word. We parted ways. The work was done and it was ready. But you just learn along the way of what the kind of people you want to work with, the kind of marketing you want to do. There's all different kinds of marketing, and not all of it brings me joy, which is a good model. The consultant model is a good model for me to have because that I can bring in an expert. We don't have to know everything. Yeah. It's good.
You don't know this, but when I started my business, I think over half the work that I was doing came from other marketing companies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe 70%. And some of them, I was making more as a sub for some of those clients than it was on the clients that I was direct billing.
Yeah.
I had to step back and say, what's the reason for that? What's that process? Why is that happening? And I think your statement of finding those people is so critical.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. What's next for 100 Cups?
So I want to have a podcast. So
I know some people.
Yeah, you're gonna have to help me with that. the concept there is just talking about what are the relationships that help step you along the way. Lots of business podcasters, it's hard to stand out in that, and that's why I love your focus. So that's coming, and there's going to be a new 100 Cups Academy every quarter. So people that want to learn more about that, it's a 4-week series, so that's a thing. And then this idea, like I've got a couple done for you clients, and I got a handful of coaching clients that I have now that kind of give me a really solid base. But the idea that I could build a academy to help more people is really, that's where my heart is.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to do.
Awesome. Is it still through the Tennessee Business Association? No.
So the money that they had for the federal money that they had through the pandemic, that actually ran out last year. We had a bunch of classes though. So we utilized that. We utilized all the money that we could for kind of the subsidy. So the last class that I had 2 months ago was the first one without the subsidy, and people actually bought seats and signed up and showed up.
Doesn't that feel so good?
Yes, it was great.
Yeah,
that was wonderful. So I have another one starting in May.
Tell me, we're not going to give away all the secrets because there is even when I decided to take the class, it was like, he's going to teach me how to drink coffee or
right. I know.
What?
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing I learned, and that I would love for you to share, maybe just one other thing that you feel like is a valuable lesson that comes out of this, because there's lots, but is how quick we are to not listen. Like we'll sit down and we'll just talk and talk and talk, and then you leave and you're like, did I ask any questions, or were my ears on? Was I listening?
Right.
And so you give some techniques really to encourage people to listen and pay attention to how they're listening. What else do you feel like you teach well in that class?
Well, we're taught in sales to go through your portfolio, show the work that you do, and get the deal. Like that's, go through your PowerPoint or the printed off version or whatever the booklet is for a sale to happen. And it's very transactional. And the problem is today with the internet, there's competition on the phone for even the work that we do. Right now, someone can Google marketing company Gallatin. Hopefully you're number one. But
that's one of the things I've got to go back to and make sure my SEO is. It's hard to do work for your own company.
Totally. Cowber's kids thing. But that concept of listening instead of just trying to build that. So the concept there is 70-30. So I always think about that when I'm going into a meeting. I need to listen 70% of the time and talk 30. You and I have been in meetings with other people trying to sell us, and they talk 90% of the time, and we get maybe a question, and we don't even know if the product's any good because they didn't ask any questions. So the listening, and then thinking about every person you meet has to have a sign on their forehead that says, make me feel important. So that edification and maybe some encouragement, some kind words is really helpful there. And then I think it's really critical on follow-up if you are interested in ever working with that person again. And that could be as simple as like a thank you text or email, and maybe an introduction to them. So there's some certain things that I do in the class that's systematized, but the main thing is that 70-30 split on listening, and then making sure everybody you meet, maybe they leave in a little better state than they were when they got there.
Have you followed up with the people that have been through? I know it's interesting, even the people I know, like Jennifer was a great example. Ray always prays at the end of all of his. If you have coffee with Ray, he prays at the end. Mine was more about good work. There's got to be several different varieties of these good, 100 cups. I'm going to call it good pour, but
sure.
100 cups. It almost would be an interesting book or white paper, just all the different things that people have done with it. It's really neat.
Yeah, well, that the idea of having the podcast is at the end of 100 of those for a season. I could turn that into some sort of a book or white paper.
Oh, love that.
To kind of find out, how people are utilizing relationship building in business. But specifically, yeah, I love it when people make it their own. Like that it has to really be part of your DNA and the things that you want to talk about or do, or how you want to support people. When it feels natural, you're going to do and be way better at that than, if you try to just copy somebody else's work, so to speak.
Another success story, I think, is one of my very favorite clients right now is they came to me and they, we had the, dog and pony show of, they interviewed several different marketing agencies. And so they interviewed, they said, of the 3 we interviewed, you were the only one to ask, tell me about yourself, or what's the problem?
Oh, wow.
The other 2 just kind of went into their thing. And I was like, yeah, that was a 100 Cups lesson. So there you go.
That's awesome. I love that you're picking up some of these nuggets. And honestly, that's just what I've done for my career, is try to skim off the top of really great people that are around me and try to incorporate those pieces that fit for me. So I love that.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to say today?
I think what you are doing and kind of the focus on good work, it feels so organic and not focused on you, which I think that's one of the reasons for your success. And the fact that people are coming to you as opposed to you having to knock on every single door right now. I just want to say that out loud.
Thank you.
That that servant leadership concept, it's even in the name of the business. That was pretty clever. So just want to throw that out there. Glad to be a part of your story.
It's taught me a lot, and I very much appreciate all you do. Again, you do good work without even trying, just by making other. It's about how we make people feel, right? That's what I say. Any business can do good work. It's really about how we treat other people, and it doesn't matter. You don't have to be a nonprofit. You don't have to be some, people business. Any business can do this, but you teach people how to do that all the time. So I appreciate you.
I appreciate
you joining us.
It's been great. Thank you.